Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second episode of AmbassaChat. We are your hosts, Mary
and Mason. What's up?
And today we have a very, very special guest with us today. She is definitely the queen of Elmhurst University, in my opinion. You know, she's on billboards. She sadly recently just graduated, so we did lose her, but she will forever be the queen of Elmhurst University, Laura Rusk. Right. So quickly, for everybody who doesn't know you, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So like Mary said, I just graduated in December. I graduated a semester early, unfortunately, so my time was cut short, but I spent 3.5 incredible years at Elmhurst University, and I was a double major in political science and philosophy. Originally going in, I was only political science, but I added on philosophy after my first year. I'm originally from Evansville, Indiana, which is about 6 hours south of Elmhurst, and that is where I currently am for the time being, until I decide where I'm going to go to law school. So I'm currently in the process of applying to law schools. And during my time at Elmhurst, I was involved in a lot of different things. So I was a part of my social sorority. I held leadership positions in that. I was a part of the honors program, student ambassadors. I held several different work study positions on campus. I was an orientation student leader.
Oh no!
So weird to say, like past tense. Yeah, so I did that, and some other things here and there. And I also did a semester in Washington, D.C. at the beginning of 2020, before the pandemic happened. So that's just a little bit about me, and yeah, happy to be here. They did this photo contest. Mary, you probably remember this, like the summer before we were incoming first year students, and it was like, basically kind of like Flat Stanley, but with Victor E. Blue Jay. And so I went to Germany the summer before college. And so I took the little Victor E with me when I was up in the Alps at the Neuschwanstein Castle, and, you know, just casually posing with Victor E. And so I submitted that, got an Amazon gift card, and then they were like, they knew who I was. So they were like, oh yeah, I want to be in this marketing photo shoot. And I was like, duh. And ever since, you know, the marketing department and I have been like this. So yeah. And
that was the most impressive part.
Okay, it's crazy because they didn't tell me, I knew pictures were going to be used for promotional stuff, but I didn't know that a billboard was, you know, one of the things. And so one day I'm driving to that the Super Target in Hillside, which is in between Elmhurst and downtown Chicago, for people who don't know. So I'm driving, you know, towards the city. I can see the skyline, and I'm going to this Target Plus, and I'm at this stoplight, and I look up, and the billboard changed, and I was on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So yeah, it was incredible, and definitely a very highlightable moment for me. You know, not many people get to be on a billboard.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, no. And that was within your first few months of being at Elmhurst.
It was, yeah.
You were new.
Never got a banner though, which I'm really sad about.
They took those down.
Yeah.
And that is part, because I think that was most of the student ambassadors' goals, is to get on one of those banners.
Exactly.
I was just gonna ask, would you rather be in a billboard or on a banner? And mine's banner for sure.
Those banners are so cool.
They're so sick.
You know, I walked past one of the former ambassadors, Mike White, who was the reason I came here.
King.
Honestly. And I saw him on one of those banners, and I'm like, no offense, but it's my goal to replace you on that banner for the position in the psych department.
Yeah.
They never made it.
I would love a banner.
That'd be so cool. This is our plug. Give us a banner.
Please.
I will gladly come back for.
We'll share one.
All of our faces on one. It's fine. Laura, I do have to ask, because you mentioned this story before, and I feel like people deserve to know about how you found Elmhurst and that lovely drive that you took.
Oh
yeah. No, wasn't it train ride?
Oh,
no, we missed the train.
No, it was train ride to the. Yeah, okay, you're right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is my iconic story. So I always, preface it by saying, like, I didn't really choose Elmhurst. Elmhurst kind of chose me. Really odd fate, I guess, brought us together. So Mason and Mary have heard this literally 1,000 times. They probably could tell you it themselves, but I applied to, like, I think 8 different schools, and toured pretty much all of them and was accepted to all of them. And I did not feel confident in selecting any of them. So I was like, what am I going to do? Freaking out. And I saved all of my college mail, which is like super weird. I haven't done that with law schools, by the way. I have not kept all the mail, just because I'm like, all right, we're past this. But I had one postcard from Elmhurst University, which was Elmhurst College at the time. And so it was like one of those like aerial shots of campus, and it just looked beautiful. And I knew it was in the suburbs. And I didn't think I wanted to be in the city, just because I wanted the more like community feel, kind of homey feel, and just kind of like a safer feel. So my mom was like, why don't we check out this Elmhurst College? And I was like, at this point, what other choice do I have, And so we planned our trip. So we had like a tour scheduled, a meeting with a professor, and some other like little things while we were here. And so we had a train scheduled that day, which the nearest train to Chicago, like closest to me, is a 2-hour drive. Which I don't think I've mentioned this part in the story before. So my first year, when I didn't have a car on campus, I would take the train, which was like about 4 to 5 hour ride, and someone would have to drive 2 hours to pick me up, and then it was a 2-hour car drive back. So that, just tells you kind of like the extent of what I would go through. But so this is the first time we were like gonna take the train, and it got delayed. And it got to a point where, like, if we were going to keep waiting, we would miss the appointment with the professor and probably miss the tour too. And so my mom's like, all right, we're driving. And like, she doesn't even know like if we're going to be able to get our money back, like nothing. She's like, all right, we got to go. And so we drove up there and back in the same day, which was like a fever dream. And I still remember that day like so clearly. Gian was my tour guide, and he like helped me find Hammersmith Chapel because I was meeting with my professor in the basement. And so the professor that I met with that day was at the time the pre-law advisor, and she actually ended up being my FYS instructor and has been like my mentor throughout college, and like was one of my letters of recommendation for law school. She went through law school and is just an incredible person, but she's the chair of the philosophy department. So all of that, kind of tied together. But when I went to Elmhurst, I was like, this is it. I'm sold. And the rest is history.
Oh, that's such a romantic kind of story.
Talking about meeting my soulmate.
But as a college.
University is my soulmate.
Yeah. Victor E is your soulmate.
Victor E is your soulmate.
That's so me though.
Oh my god.
Did you all know that you wanted to go to Elmhurst, or?
Mine was kind of weird. Like I was visiting schools and like blah blah blah. It's kind of like same story that you had. Like it was just like nothing felt super right about it. Mm-hmm. Nothing like marginally wrong. It was just like meh, Came to Elmhurst literally within like 5 minutes. I was hooked. Like came back here I think 3 more times for tours just to like check it out, see if I missed anything on the other 8 tours that I took or whatever. It was just kind of like a feeling. It was cool.
Mm-hmm. And not to like make the ambassadors sound great, but like if it wasn't for Mike White, I don't know if I would come here, because he was so amazing when he gave me that tour. I was like, oh my god. Because I went to tours in other schools and it was just so different. Like the tours were bigger, they felt so impersonal, and like the people didn't really care. But Mike was like, let me give you my email, like you can send me questions, I can hook you up to meet with a professor. And I was just like, oh my god, why are you so nice to me? Like, what is this?
Yeah, and I think like, I mean, that's the thing about, us, but also with the tour guides that gave us tours, like their passion for the school is just like very evident, which obviously it's that way for a reason, but yeah, somewhere in like, I have, old stuff. I still have like the folder that they gave me when I like went to register for classes or whatever, but I still have the postcard that my tour guides sent me. I think it was like Gian, Gentry, and someone else, maybe Diana.
Oh, they were all great.
But yeah, so it's like, just crazy to look back, and there were some really incredible people that we were able to meet we were like coming in,
No, yeah, all the upperclassmen were so nice. Like, and they were just so amazing. It was absolutely insane to just like feel on the same level as them when they were involved in so much, and it's just like, so much older. It was great. I love them all. I miss them.
Yeah, I miss them too. I miss Mike White.
So of all the things you were involved in on campus, Laura, I have to ask, what was your favorite?
That's really hard. I feel like I have a different answer now that I've like graduated. Because like during my time at Elmhurst, I would probably say like being an orientation student leader, because there was no other like experience that I had that was like that. And just that, like support system and how much fun we had. And getting to meet first years and watch them grow like throughout their time. One of my first years just like texted me, was asking me questions about applying for OSL, and just like knowing that you've had that kind of impact on someone is you both know that nothing kind of compares to that. But I think what's really helped me in like long term, I guess, or something that I'm like most thankful for, is my experience in FIMU, which for listeners who don't know what I'm talking about, that is the social sorority that I was a part of, because through my leadership positions on campus, I got involved with the national organization and have been working with them for about 2 years now, rewriting one of their major policies. And now I'm like helping them create curriculum to implement the policy, different trainings and things like that. So it's really cool, like seeing that come to fruition. And since I've graduated, I have become their advisor for the honor policy, which is what I've been helping rewrite. And so, like I'm working with members of my chapter, kind of giving them advice, and like, we're part of like a pilot program. So we're one of the chapters nationwide that's getting to try out this new kind of like structure. And so that's really interesting because I'm kind of seeing both sides of it. And it's cool because they just had their like national officer training, and some of the like slideshows and stuff that were used for that, like I made. So it's just really cool to, be a part of something like so much bigger than me. And I think another like really special part of it all has been like representing Elmhurst on a national level, because, not a lot of people know about our small FIMU chapter at Elmhurst University. It's only about 10 years old, and, we only have around 50 members. So compared to schools where it's been around for decades, or they have hundreds of members, like, not a lot of people have heard of Elmhurst. And so it's been kind of cool to like put Elmhurst on the map for FIMU. And I think that our chapter has like gained a lot of respect from that. And also like, we're just recognized a lot more for how hard our chapter works and, how well we've done. So I think that like in the long run, that is what I look back and like appreciate the most, because it's something that I'm still like, gaining something from even after graduation.
That's so cool. My goodness.
So cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's
That's
been fun.
So impressive.
What would you all say is like the best thing that you've been a part of at Elmhurst?
Right away, orientation pops into mind. Just because
Not
it's
say
such
orientation.
I know, that's why I'm not gonna officially say that is my answer. Like, you guys know the feeling. It's such a great feeling. It's like nothing really compares to it. But I'm gonna go with student ambassador. I just think it's awesome. I think he's gonna be a first year next year, that me and Josh like took to lunch. He like shadowed us for the day while we were both like computer science students. And like I still talk to him. He's coming here for sure. Like, it was just really nice to like have that definite impact. Tyler Posh, if you're listening, what's up, my dude? Yeah, like it was just such a nice experience. Like we are like the face of the campus, so we do get to like change people's lives, quote unquote, by like showing them around campus. But like that's like a direct example.
And that's weird saying that we're like the face of the campus. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's something I've never gotten used to.
No.
And I'm like, I don't know why you'd want me to be.
I'm like, have you met me?
Seriously, I miss the days in the office when COVID wasn't a thing and there were no restrictions on how many of us could be in the room,
We
because
packed that room. It's
like people would come when they're not even on the shift because we just like hanging out in there.
And we just like talking to each other. Oh my gosh.
We spilled the tea. The weird thing about being an ambassador is like, you know, we give so many tours that it's like impossible to remember everyone. And I've had people that are like Elizabeth in OSL, Elizabeth Ryder, she'll be like, do you remember when you gave me a tour? And I'm like, are you sure it was me? I was like, no, I don't remember at all, you know, because I gave so many. And she was like, yeah, like, I loved you. I thought you were so cool. And I'm like, what a small world, because now we're friends. And, you know, it's just so weird.
I remember I had a tour once where the daughter couldn't come, the one that was interested in the school, so her mom came instead. Because her daughter had like prom or homecoming or some like school dance that day. I forgot which one. And she was like getting ready. And I think that was my favorite tour of all time. Because just talking to that mom, like she gave me life advice.
Incredible.
Like,
Oh, I love that.
And I'm pretty sure the daughter committed. Like, great story. But yeah, that mom was so cool. And I forgot her name, but she was awesome.
And you
Mom,
know,
if you're listening.
Right? If you're listening,
that random
one mom. Yeah.
But no, it's really true what Laura said about people remembering you. Because I had a dad once come up to me during orientation. He was there with his daughter, and she was actually in my FYS group.
No way.
And she was my first year, and like I kind of remembered her but didn't. And the dad was like, oh my goodness, like you gave us that fabulous tour, like it's so nice to see you again. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're actually here. Like, how's it going?
That's so cool.
It's so weird actually seeing them come to the school after you've given them a tour, because like, no offense, after every tour I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, that was absolutely horrible. It was probably like the worst tour, probably just like talked too quickly, I'm so sorry. But then like people still come and I'm like, no, it's a different type of feeling being able to be involved with you know, potential students and first year students. It's definitely just a different type of feeling, which is nice.
And I think working with the staff upstairs is such a fun experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Just every time I went up there, because like, you know, I would go up with the purpose of like talking to Megan, our bosses, about like something related to the ambassadors. But then I just stand there and see what's going on, and everybody would just start laughing, or some prank would be pulled. But no, we have lots of like fun people that work with us. Well, I shouldn't say it like we work with them, because they were like our bosses, and you know, like
yeah.
But they're like, they're not all work and no play, you know what I mean?
Oh,
I feel like it's like the office downstairs, but like a real person job, like a big person job, you know?
Like they're real adults and we're just like in training.
Yeah, we're adults in training.
That is really like the best way to put it. And that's like what most of the professors are like too, at least in my experience, which is nice.
Yeah.
They're not all like stern and serious, and like they like to joke around and like have fun. I've had food brought in many times, which is always great.
What are your guys' thoughts on college is going to be harder in high school, like Sayers? You know? You know what I'm talking? Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get away with this in college.
Like, in college, like, it's so much.
Like, so one of my professors, Mason, you have the same professor too, but I'll email him like the most formal email, and then he writes back like,
okay,
like a sentence, no punctuation, and then he signs it all lowercase later, and then just his initials, all lowercase.
Yeah, honestly, it's a lot. Like, I get when they're saying you're more on your own and like independence is difficult, but once you get used to that independence, which takes like a few months, like, not gonna lie, it's a hard thing to get used to. Like, it's a fun time. You meet great people. Like, you're at a great stage in your life to just grow professionally and personally.
Yeah, I feel like I've also like been able to like kind of view some of my professors I view as like friends, just because like they're so casual. And like I've another professor that one time I made a reference to Dolly Parton in one of our classes. And so anytime he sees like a Dolly Parton meme or like Dolly Parton does anything iconic, like he'll send me an email about it. And we also in this class talked about the word yeet, Y-E-E-T. It was one of my philosophy classes, and so we're like, what does this even mean? Like, it's an action, it's, you know, a noun, it's like everything. That's and then amazing. We talked about the quote, yeet or be yeeted.
Okay.
And so then, like, after that, if he saw, like, you know, different, like, memes about yeet or being yeeted, then he would email them to me. And I, you know, it's just, like, silly stuff like that. No high school teacher would ever do that.
No.
But it's, like, fair game in college.
No,
and with, honestly, like, small classes, it's so easy to bond with them.
Oh, right. It is. It's so much easier. And it's just like that paired with how casual a lot of them are, it's so fun. Like, it makes so much fun. Even if it's a difficult class, like, it's so much fun. Like, I had a really hard psych class, but I took it with Pat. First of all, his name, he just goes by Pat, which is the best part. Like, not Dr. Neville, whatever, just Pat. And it makes it fun to go to class every day. It's not a boring experience in class all the time because you're able to get to know your professor and joke around with them like that sometimes.
And like even the more serious ones, like I had a professor who, I mean, I guess he's not too serious. He jokes around a lot. Gary Smith, absolute G. One class, he came in and like raffled off like 10 Raspberry Pis for people that don't know Raspberry Pi. It's like a computer the size of your palm.
Oh, I thought you were talking about actual pie.
Yeah, I was like,
no, not like an actual pie. Yeah, it's just like, a random
that's
name.
Interesting.
I'm looking this up right now.
And then like for finals, he brought in 2 or 3 like huge pizzas from Two Brothers. Yeah, he brought in Two Brothers Pizza, which is phenomenal pizza. But yeah, like it was just such a good experience. The class was hard. It was an insanely hard class, but he made it so tolerable and like so fun.
My favorite thing a professor's done is bring their dog into class.
Oh my gosh, that's the best.
It really is.
Did anyone here take sign language?
No.
Okay. Yeah, we had a student bring her dog in and like it was just so chill.
Incredible.
That's so great.
So Mary, how's your day?
Oh my gosh. See, this is what I mean. Like when they put the ambassadors together, it just gets
just chaotic.
This is what I mean by chaotic good. Like we are the totally definition of it.
Me not knowing how to work technology.
There we go.
All right, everybody.
That's a Raspberry Pi. Yeah.
This is Raspberry Pi.
Woohoo.
Not to be confused with
the actual
pie. What's on the agenda since now you're graduated? You said you're applying to law schools.
Yeah. So I have worked for a small business in my town since I was 15. So I'm working there. And I am trying to read 10 books before law school, so in the next 7 months. And, you know, 10 books doesn't sound like a lot, but for me it's a lot because I just don't read books unless it's for school. So I did finish a book last week, so I'm off to a great start. So I have 9 more to go. So I'm trying to read, and honestly just like hang out, because I'm like, I need a break. I'm about to go into the most mentally draining 3 years of my life. I just want to hang out and have fun. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
What is your most memorable tour?
That's hard. That's really hard. I really don't know.
It's a hard question.
I mean, I've had a lot of really interesting group tours. Group tours are absolutely the most fun. But specifically the group tours I've done with Mason, because for some reason we would always be assigned the group tours.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. But I think for like a one-on-one tour, there was a tour I had once where it was like a young guy and girl, and they were just like friends, and they came for a tour, and they were just so cool. And I was like, I want you guys to come here so bad so that like you can be my friend. And I don't think they ended up coming to Elmhurst because I like haven't seen them. But I mean, I just adored them. At the end, they asked for a selfie with me, and I was like,
that's so great.
Aww.
Yeah, it was the best. So that was like a really memorable tour, just because I was like, this is so fun. What about you all? Any memorable tours?
I think mine was that mom I talked about earlier.
Fair.
Like, that's the only one that like really sticks out. That was the coolest thing ever.
Those are the best tours, though, to be honest, when you get totally sidetracked and just start talking about random stuff instead of talking about the school.
I bought her a coffee.
Oh,
we literally
so
went to the
cute.
Starbucks and got coffee.
That's so cute.
Yeah. It was wholesome.
That's so wholesome.
Right?
That's incredible. Oh, now that I think about it, I'd like to change my answer.
Oh.
Because, okay, while that tour was iconic, I've also been able to give several tours for like special guests of the college. And so I have given a tour to the president of a university in India, and like a tour to 2 people from Vietnam, I think, who were like here from a university there, like trying to do a partnership.
So cool.
And just like the differences in culture. One of the ladies from Vietnam was also like a blogger. And so like we had a full photo shoot outside of Hammersmith Memorial Chapel. And the president from India was like, oh my gosh, the lighting is so good in this Kranz Forum area. So I remember we took like a little selfie. He was like, get in it. And I would just I wish I like had their contact information so I could be like, hey, send me that selfie we took.
That's so cute.
But that was really, really cool because they, you know, just loved everything about campus and were like so excited to be there. So I've also given tours to like prospective like professors and stuff like that. I don't know if you all know Andrew Knapp from the Office of Institutional Advancement. Also, if you can hear my dog with this dog toy,
I was like,
he was doing so good. I took him for a walk right before this because I was like, I want him to be tired. But we're home alone, aren't we, buddy? But forgot what I was saying. Andrew Knapp from the Office of Institutional Advancement. I gave him his tour, and it's super cool because like he's around campus so much, and now I know him as like not a coworker, but like a peer,
like someone you give a tour guide to.
Yeah. And it's actually really interesting. He is on the board for the organization that I did my like semester away with, the Washington Internship Institute. He actually like works with them, and I didn't know that until like I saw something on LinkedIn, and I was like, this is so cool, like what a small world. So
see, that's something we should mention briefly, is the fact that you were literally interning in Washington DC.
Yeah, do you want to explain that?
Don't just forgot about it, small details.
I mean, it seems like an alternate reality, like looking back, I'm like, that didn't actually happen. But yeah, so I did a semester away in Washington, D.C., January through mid-March. I did get sent home because of COVID. My dog's really gonna ruin this for me. I have the toy, Atticus. Can I have it, buddy?
Is his name Atticus?
Yeah.
Like Atticus Finch?
We love that.
No
That's
way!
So
That's so cute.
It's so funny
I've always
because
wanted to name my dog Atticus.
my mom like called the vet the other day, and it's like a new vet, and so they were asking like, "What's your dog's name?" And she was like, Atticus. And instead of, they were like, okay, what's his last name? And instead of saying our last name, like mine or hers, she said Finch.
Oh my God.
I was like, Mom. Yeah. How we choose our pet names is really interesting. My cat's name is Katniss, after Katniss Everdeen. My brother's cat's name is Gary, which is definitely based off of some SpongeBob.
Yeah.
And then we used to have a cat named Poe, after Edgar Allan Poe. So just, interesting things about my family. So, okay, I think
that's so cool.
I think the squeaker is on pause.
It's like so smart. That's so like academic.
We're so intellectual in my household.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yes. As I was saying, I did an internship in Washington, D.C., and I was there from January until mid-March, got sent home because of COVID. So about this time a year ago, I still did not have an internship. I got my internship 3 days before I moved to D.C., which was so hectic, so chaotic, so stressful. But yeah, I packed up all my stuff, peaced out, moved to this brand new city, into an apartment with, some other students from my program that I didn't know. One of them was from Boston and one of them was from Pittsburgh. Well, she goes to school in Pittsburgh, but she's from like upstate New York. So that was a wild ride. So I took class 1 day a week, and then I interned 4 days a week. And my internship placement was with the United States House of Representatives. I worked for a congressman from Wisconsin. So I would go to work from like 9 to 4. If Congress was in session, I would be there from 9 to 6. And through that, I got to do a lot of really cool stuff. I got to go to briefings on a lot of different topics. My office kind of took into consideration what I liked and what I was interested in. So some of the ones that I remember the most, I guess, I went to one on this environmental issue in Michigan, because one of their lakes there is going to be drilled for oil. And so they had a lot of different people from that area talking about how, their jobs and their homes depend on this this body of water. And so that was really interesting. I went to one on religious discrimination in schools, particularly elementary and middle and high school, how people of different faiths, non-Christians, are more likely to be discriminated against, which was really interesting. I went to one on gun control, gun safety, all different kinds of things that I got to learn about. I went to one on broadband internet because that is really important to people in Wisconsin. For people in rural areas, they need to have access to internet. And so that was, interesting. And it was really cool because while I was there, I went to this lecture series through Congress. It was specifically for people in Congress. And it was all about space exploration. So every Friday they would have a different speaker come in, and they would just talk about the history of space exploration, where they want to go, and talking about all the different missions they've done and how they're trying to get to Mars, and commerce in space and all that kind of stuff, which was crazy to learn about. And
Elon Musk show up?
No, I wish. I
would
wish.
freak out.
But I did get to meet several people from NASA, which was really, really, really cool. I don't plan on going into like law for NASA, but I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And like, who doesn't love space? Like, space is so cool. And like I got to go to different like receptions and stuff just because who I worked for. So I went to this reception one night that was like related to this lecture series. So it was the Coalition on Deep Space Exploration. They had a reception one night, and I got the email invite for it because like I'd been signed up for these lectures, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go. Like, sure, I'm gonna go and meet people because I was in a class at the time about like professional development. And so I was like, I need to go and meet people and network. So my brave little soul went to this, and I was the youngest person at this reception by at least probably 20 years. And it was like all engineers for corporations that partner with NASA. And there were astronauts there. There were like people that work for NASA there. And I remember this one guy was like, you got to come to the Kennedy Space Center. Like, you got to come, we'll give you a tour, like all this stuff. And I was like, I don't think that I'm going to be able to come to the Kennedy Space Center soon. But there was this random guy that I met there who was like, I want to help you meet people. He was basically like my fairy god dad. And he just took me around. It was like introducing me to all these different people. And I like seriously have the deepest respect for this man because he knew I was so uncomfortable. You know, like I'm at this reception by myself and I was just like going up to people like, hi, like meeting the most random people. And they're like, why are you here? And I'm like, oh, like I work for the congressman. And so he introduced me to all these people, and I ended up meeting this woman who's a lawyer for NASA. And she does like, you know, contracts for them. And I was supposed to get coffee with her the week that I got sent home. And that was tough. That was really tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the coolest experience ever getting to be in Congress. I was there at the end of the impeachment. So that was crazy. And it was appropriation season, so all the different like budget proposals. My office was in charge of several different proposals that we had to keep track of, which was, you know, it's kind of nerdy stuff, but I thought it was the coolest thing ever, like getting to work on that. And I did different stuff for like scheduling, so checking the congressman's flights and scheduling, you know, different meetings with different people. And it was crazy. I feel like the 2 months that I was there was like a whole entire year, honestly. But
it seems like it.
It was like the worst breakup of all time, getting sent home.
I can see it.
No, yeah, that must have like sucked that all of a sudden you just were like, time to go.
It's like, oh, you're having the time of your life? Well, the end.
The end.
But
did you get to ride the little train that they have?
I did. Yes.
It's so cool.
It's very interesting. It sounds a lot cooler than it actually is. Like you're just sitting in this little like car, like
it's so tiny.
Like, it is. It's really
tiny. So tiny.
I have like a video of me like riding in it, so I'll just send it to you guys.
That's great. Yeah.
All right, guys. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. As always, a big thanks to our guest Laura, an absolute queen, for coming on the show. What a homie.
Hey, it's been fun.
It's been real. It's been a
real
real
Blue Jays.
Right? Go Jays. See
Go
y'all.
Jays.